Hello everyone, welcome to the Bodhi Academy. In today's video, we will continue the class 11 biology 4th chapter, that is the animal kingdom. So in the first video, we saw the basis of classification, the factors or the characteristics which are used as the basis of classification were level of organization, the symmetry of the organism, and whether they are triploblastic or diploblastic in organization, and also based on the body cavity or the coelom. Now in today's class we will see the classification of these animals based on this category or characters. So this is our kingdom Animalia. So in this the organisms, as we know, are multicellular. So the first we see the level of organization. Based on level of organization, there are the animal kingdom is divided into two groups or two categories. First one is the cellular level and second one is the tissue, organ or organ system level. So in cellular level we have the phylum Porifera. Okay, the first phylum which is there is Porifera, and then based on tissue or organ system, again we have the second character, that is the symmetry. So according to symmetry, the this category is again further divided into two, that is having radial symmetry and having bilateral symmetry. Now in organisms having radial symmetry, we again have two types. That is, first one is the Coelenterata, phylum Coelenterata or Cnidaria, and the second is the phylum Ctenophora. Then in bilateral symmetry, this group or this category is further divided into three types, that is based on the body cavity or the coelom. So the first one is without body cavity, that is the acoelomates. Then with false coelom or with false body cavity, that is pseudocoelomates, and then with third one is with true cavity or true coelom, that is the coelomates. Now acoelomates we have the Platyhelminthes, in pseudocoelomates we have Coelenterata, and then in coelomates we have all these: Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, Echinodermata, Hemichordata and Chordata. So let us start with the classification of the animal kingdom. The first phylum we have is phylum Porifera. So the first one we have is phylum Porifera. So the members of this phylum are commonly known as sponges. Okay, these organisms are mostly marine, asymmetrical and have a cellular level of organization. So they have cellular level of organization. They are asymmetrical, means they cannot be divided into perfectly equal half on any plane. Then they are mostly marine, so they are found in the oceans and seas. Then they have water transport or canal system. So the water enters through minute pores called the ostia into a central cavity. Okay, so these organisms have a water canal or transport system in which the water enters through minute pores called ostia into a central cavity called the spongiocele. Okay, and now from spongiocele the water goes through the osculum. Okay, so let us see the diagram. Now here these small pores are the ostia. So these minute pores which are found all over the body are the ostia, and these are some examples of these sponges or phylum Porifera. So first we have a cycon, then Euspongia and Spongilla. So this is the Spongilla. These are organisms or sponges which are found in the marine waters. Then next point is the nutrition, respiration and excretion is performed by pathway of water system. So they only have this water canal system which performs all the nutrition, respiration and excretion processes. Then the skeleton is made up of spicules or spongin fibers. So the structure or the skeleton of these sponges is made up of particles called as spicules or the spongin fibers. Egg and sperm are produced by same organism, so they are hermaphrodite. They have both the egg and sperm are both produced on the same organism. Then asexual reproduction is by fragmentation. When they are divided into fragments, each fragment will give rise to a individual organism, and sexual reproduction is by formation of gametes. The fertilization after formation of gametes is internal, so it happens inside the body of organisms, and the development is indirect. So these examples we have already seen, Cycon and Spongilla. Then the next phylum is phylum Cnidaria or the Coelenterata or the Coelenterate. So these cnidarians are aquatic. They are mostly marine, so they are mostly found in the oceans and seas. They are sessile, okay, meaning they are stationary. They do not have movement or locomotion is absent. Some are free swimming. So some can swim freely in the waters, and radial symmetrical animals. So they can be divided radially into two halves. Then they exhibit tissue level of organization, diploblastic coelomate with a single opening. They show two types of body called polyp and medusa. So in these organisms, two types of bodies are there. One is the polyp and other one is the medusa. Now the polyp is sessile, fixed and cylindrical without gonads. For example, hydra and adamsia. So here we have the example. Now this is the polyp. So it is sessile, so it is attached. It does not have the locomotion. It is cylindrical, and this is how the polyp looks. Then the next type is the medusa, which is free swimming, umbrella like, having gonads like Aurelia and jellyfish. So this is the second one, the medusa type of the body, which is free swimming, and it has the gonads. So this is an example. Here is the jellyfish. Then the third type that we have are the Ctenophora. Okay, the third phylum which we have is Ctenophora. So these are commonly known as the comb jellies or sea walnuts. So these organisms are commonly known as comb jellies and or the sea walnuts. These are exclusively marine, so they are only found in the salty waters or the oceans and seas. Then these are diploblastic. Symmetry is radially symmetrical, and they have a tissue level of organization. So from here we have the tissue level of organization. Then the body bears 8 ciliated comb plates which help in the locomotion. So these are motile organisms, and they have these 8 ciliated comb plates which help them in moving around. So bioluminescence, that is to emit light, is present in the ctenophores. So they have the presence of bioluminescence, that is they can emit light. Now these are also hermaphrodite, that means both male and female gametes are formed on the same organism. Then fertilization is external and the development is indirect. Examples are Ctenoplena and Pleurobranchia. So here we have an example of this Ctenophora. So this is the Pleurobranchia. Now they have the bioluminescence. It is the property of living organism to emit light. These are the structures which help them in the locomotion or movement. Then the next type which we have is the next phylum which we have is the phylum Platyhelminthes or the flatworms. So these in phylum Platyhelminthes, dorsoventrally flattened body is seen in the organisms. They have bilateral symmetry. they are triploblastic and acoelomate. So they do not have the body cavity with organ level of organization. So their level of organization is organ level. Now here hooks and suckers are present in the parasitic forms. So some of these organisms, the flatworms, are parasitic, so they have hooks and suckers. Then flame cell helps in the osmoregulation and excretion. So they have special cells called as the flame cells which help them in osmoregulation and in excretion. The fertilization is internal and the development is indirect. So the gametes fertilize internally and the development is indirect, and they are also hermaphrodites. So here we have two examples of Platyhelminthes. The first one is the tapeworm. We can see the body is dorsoventrally flattened. So it is a flat body, and this is the liver fluke. The example is liver fluke. Then the next phylum that we have is Helminthes. So in phylum Helminthes, or the roundworms, they are also called the roundworms. We have the organisms which are free living, aquatic, terrestrial or parasitic in plants and animals. So these organisms can live freely. They can be aquatic, that means they are found in water. They could be terrestrial, found on soil, or they could be parasitic on plants and animals, meaning they can survive as a parasite on the host such as plants and animals. Then they are bilaterally symmetrical, triploblastic and pseudocoelomate. So they have the false body cavity. Then the alimentary canal is complete with well developed muscular pharynx. So the alimentary canal is complete, meaning they have two openings, the mouth and the anus. They are dioecious, which means the female and the male are separate. So females are longer than the male. And examples of Helminthes or the roundworms are the Ascaris, then the filarial and the encyclostoma. So let us see these examples. So in Helminthes, they have both male and female organisms. So here, as we can see, the female is longer than the male ones, and they are dioecious, meaning two, male and female. Then the next phylum which we have is Annelida. So the next phylum is Annelida. So these annelids are also aquatic or terrestrial. Aquatic meaning found in water, or terrestrial meaning found on soil. They are also bilaterally symmetrical, so they can be divided into two equal halves. Then segmented with organ system level of organization. So their body is divided internally and externally into segments or parts, and they have organ level of organization. Now the aquatic annelids like Nereis possess lateral appendages or parapodia for swimming. So they have lateral appendages or the extensions which are used for swimming. The nephridia help in osmoregulation and excretion. So they have special organs called the nephridia which help in the osmoregulation of the organism and the excretion. Then the neural system consists of paired ganglion connected by lateral nerves to a double ventral nerve cord. So now in the organisms which we saw earlier, all those were very primitive or simple kind of organisms. Only incomplete alimentary canal was there. Okay, there was only one opening for ingestion and for excretion. but now slowly the organisms are getting more and more complex, and here we can see even neural system is there present in annelids. Now in the earlier simple organisms only they were hermaphrodites, so both male and female gametes were made or produced on the same organism. Now we are seeing slowly that the organisms are dioecious. So male and female organisms are separate in these organisms. So dioecious, that is Nereis, an example is dioecious, whereas some other organisms in annelids are also monoecious. For example, earthworm or leech. So we'll see. Now here we have two examples. First one is Nereis, the annelid. So this has this external things for the locomotion or swimming, parapodia. Then the second one is the leech. Okay. Then the next phylum which we have is the arthropoda. So the next phylum is Arthropoda. Now Arthropoda is the largest phylum of animals which includes the insects. Okay, Arthropoda means the insect phylum or the insect group. Then they have organ system of organization. So they have organ system level of organization. They are triploblastic, coelomate and bilaterally symmetrical with chitinous exoskeleton. So they have an exoskeleton or the covering which is made up of chitin. The body consists of head, thorax and abdomen, and they have jointed appendages or the jointed foot. So now slowly we see that the body is also body of the organisms is also becoming well differentiated. That is the body in these arthropods is divided into head, thorax and the abdomen. Now the respiratory organs are gills, book lungs or tracheal system with open circulatory system. So here we have special respiratory organs which could be gills, book lungs or the tracheal system. Then the excretion is through Malpighian tubules. Now slowly we are seeing that the simple organisms are getting more and more complex, and now they have special organs for certain functions and even organ system. So here we have excretion, special these Malpighian tubules for excretion. Then sense organs, antenna or eyes, and fertilization is internal and mostly oviparous. So oviparous means they lay eggs. So in this arthropoda we have some economically important these insects. For example, the honeybees and the silkworm. The apis, that is the honeybees, and the bombyx, the silkworm. So let us see the example. So here we have first one is locust, then we have butterfly in arthropods, then we have scorpion, and we also have prawns. So we can see over here all these are segmented. So their body is segmented. As we can see, it is divided into segments. See, as we can see here, and they all have the jointed legs or jointed appendages. Then the next phylum is the phylum Mollusca. So in phylum Mollusca, the organisms could be terrestrial or aquatic. They also have organ level of organization and bilateral symmetry. They are also triploblastic and coelomates. So now from here onwards all the organisms are coelomates, as we have seen in the flow chart. Now here also the body is well differentiated and it is divided into head, muscular foot and visceral hump. Now these organisms are unsegmented and they are covered with a calcareous shell. So these organisms are covered or they have a calcareous shell. So feather-like gills are present between the lump and the mantle, and mouth contains file-like rasping organs for feeding called the radula. Now an example of these mollusks are the phyla or the octopus. So here we have an example is the octopus or the phyla. So this is the outer calcareous shell which is present in these organisms. Then the next phylum which we have is the Echinodermata. So these Echinodermata are the spiny skinned animals. Okay, so let us see. The endoskeleton is calcareous ossicles, marine with organ system of organization. So these have the endoskeleton which is calcareous again, and these are also marine and they have organ system level of organization. Now these Echinodermata are also triploblastic coelomate, and there is a presence of water vascular system which help in locomotion, capture of food and the respiration. So in these also the sexes are separate, the fertilization is external and development is indirect. Now some example of Echinodermata are starfish, sea cucumber and sea lily. So here we have the example of the starfish, so Asterias and Ophiura. Then the next phylum which we have is the Hemichordata. So in Hemichordata or the hemichordates, we have the worm-like marine animals with organ system of organization. So these are also found in the oceans, and they have organ system level of organization. Then bilateral symmetry, triploblastic and coelomate animals. Then the body is cylindrical, composed of anterior proboscis, a collar and a long trunk. So here the body of organisms is cylindrical, tube-like, and it is divided into these three parts, that is the anterior proboscis, collar and long trunk. Then they also have open circulatory system. The respiration is by gills, so they have special organs for respiration, excretion and circulation. So excretory organ is proboscis gland. Then again the sexes are separate, fertilization is external and development is indirect. So here we have an example. So it has the anterior proboscis, then the collar and the long trunk which is there, this part. So we have Balanoglossus as the example. So this is all for today's video. In the next video we will continue this chapter and we will learn about the phylum Chordata and all the classes in which the phylum Chordata is divided. The amphibians, reptilia, aves, mammals, all these we will learn in the next class. So this is all in today's lecture. Thank you for watching my video. Please like, share and subscribe to the Bodhi Academy.